Hey everyone, it's Brennan. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. Today I have my December reading wrap up. In December, I read 8 books, which is really good. I read 4 Kindle books, 2 audio books, and 2 physical books. Also, I just want to let you know that I read several hundred pages of Rhythm of War. Let me grab it. By Brandon Sanderson. I am quite close to being done. I have just over 230 pages left in this 1200 plus page tome. And so good, but I did not finish it in December, so I will hold off on discussing it. But the first book I read this month was Flock by Kate Stewart. This is a new adult-ish romance. I feel like I add ish to all of my age classifications just because if you want to read a book, you can read a book no matter what age you are. But our main character in this story, well, first of all, it starts out and she's like 26 and she's driving back to her dad's hometown, and then she's like reflecting on these events that happened when she was 19, and then we get the story from when she was 19. So she goes to live with her dad. Her parents are separated, and her dad is like this very successful technology company CEO, and he wants her to be able to take over the company eventually, but he first wants her to, like, she's just working the line, like making calculators or something like that. So she's 19. She's just kind of trying to take this gap year between starting college, and she also wants to make sure she has a way to provide money for her mom, who's going through a difficult time right now. And she meets a boy at the factory and they start a relationship. Her name is Cecilia. I like to name my characters when I'm talking about them. So Cecilia meets Sean at the factory, and he's kind of part of this, not really a gang, but like a society of men who drive muscle cars, and they're bad, but they're good. Like, they do good social things, but also they do bad law things. And they start a relationship, but she also starts a relationship with another guy in this group, and they all kind of have a relationship. But then at the end of this story, you don't know who she's going to be in a relationship with. There's a second book called Exodus, and I believe this month Kate Stewart may be releasing a third book in the series. I think it was just supposed to be a short story. I think it's called Finish Line. But this is good. It's steamy. It's like a polyamorous relationship in this first book. And I gave it 4 stars, 4, like 3.5 stars. It was pretty good. We're taking a lot of coffee breaks in this video. Also, let me know down below, how do you drink your coffee? I like black coffee. I used to be just a plain creamer kind of girl, but now I just like black coffee. Nick kind of roped me into it. The next book I finished was Petty, the biography by Warren Zanes. This is the Tom Petty biography. It was great hearing about his childhood, and this man, I mean, he was like playing gigs at like 13, 14 years old. Like, his whole life was just music. The only thing I wish is that, so I think this book may have come out like right before Tom Petty died, and I wish it would have had like an addendum, kind of like a memoriam thing, but it was really good. Stevie Nicks is in it a lot. George Harrison, is that his name? One of the Beatles. He was in it a lot, and Tom Petty just worked so hard and sacrificed so much and dealt with so many issues, personal issues, band issues, and it was really good. The author reads it and it was excellent. I gave it 5 stars because I just don't tend to give biographies less than 5 stars. The next book I finished for the month, by the way, I'm going in chronological order that I completed these, but my third book of the month was Layla by Colleen Hoover. This is her new release. It came out in December, read it pretty immediately. This is a ghost romance. So in Layla, we follow Layla and her love interest Leeds. And Leeds is the bass player in this mediocre band that he doesn't really like being in, and they meet when Leeds is playing at Layla's sister's wedding. And they do kind of have an insta-love, but Colleen Hoover's insta-love is more like, it's like insta-chemistry. Like, she just does it so well. So Leeds and Layla meet. Layla is like this free-spirited, quirky, funny, beautiful woman, and so they basically don't spend another day apart from that wedding. I really don't want to go into the plot too much because this is really kind of suspenseful. I don't want to say it's spooky, like yes, it has a ghost in it, ghosts, but Layla and Leeds have a traumatic event happen, and then they go back to the hotel. It's like a bed and breakfast where they met at her sister's wedding, and the bed and breakfast has been sold, and Leeds just kind of rents it while it's in between ownership, and he meets a ghost there, and her name is Willow, and lots of stuff happens. That's what I'm gonna leave it at, because like all of Colleen Hoover's books, it's messy, it's dramatic, it's full of feeling and some romance, and it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. Can you see that? It's like so bright, I can't tell if it's focusing very well. This is a holiday rom-com, adult romance. We follow our main character, May Lynn, as she has just spent a week at her family friend's cabin during the week of Christmas, and they've done this every year that May has been alive. And she's always had this really great friendship with her parents' friends' sons, and she's always had a crush on the older brother. His name's Andrew, but their families have always put her and the younger brother together, like they've kind of shipped them because they're the same age. And during the first part of this book, May has given in and kind of kissed, not kind of, she has kissed the younger brother, and it got really awkward. And then on their last day in the cabin, her parents' friends have announced that they are going to sell this cabin that they've all spent Christmas together for the last 26 years. And when they're driving away, May hits her head, and then cue the holidays. She enters into this Groundhog Day type scenario where she's going back to the cabin like they're just getting their vacation started, and she has to make the right decision, but she doesn't know what kind of decision she's supposed to be making. So she is just trying to find what will make her happy. She's unsatisfied with her job. She lives with her parents right now, and she's just kind of wandering through life, and now she just wants to take what will make her happy. So she is trying to get with Andrew, the older brother, and they do lots of holiday stuff. They go sledding, they build snowmen, they do Christmas shopping and Christmas scavenger hunts. Like, it's a very good holiday time. It's a little steamy. Like, for Christina Lauren, it's not as steamy as their other books have gotten, but this was fun. I read it in a 24-hour reading vlog, which I will link below, and it was, I mean, December was the time to read this. I read this on Christmas Eve, so perfect timing. I gave this 3 stars. It was fun. It did not blow my mind or anything, but it was a good, cozy romance time. The next book that I read, I also felt like I kind of had a ticking time clock on when I needed to read this. It's called One Day in December by Josie Silver, so I thought I needed to read it in December. But this is not very holiday-esque at all. We follow our main characters, Lori, and I tried really hard to remember these characters' names. Jack, so, and Sarah, and there's a few characters in here. So Lori's our main character, and the story starts one day in December. She is taking the bus. This is set in London, so that might change your view of what bus she's on. She's taking the bus home from work, and at a bus stop, she makes eye contact with this guy, and they just have this instant attraction, but then the bus leaves and she doesn't see him again. She kind of looks for him whenever she goes out for the next year, but she doesn't find him again until her very best friend and flatmate Sarah introduces him to Lori at a party as her new boyfriend. So cue this very long. This book spans 10 years, And we just follow Lori's life and Sarah's life and Jack's life and just the issues that they have, but also the good times, the successes, the new jobs, the traveling, the moving, the family issues, deaths, a lot of heavier stuff, marriage, babies, a lot happens. And I keep describing this. I also talked about this in that vlog that I'm linking below, but this was just so real life dramatic, like just real life problems, and you're just rooting for everyone to just be personally happy. So I honestly though, I think this book would be a better January book, because at the beginning of every year in the story, Lori writes out her New Year's resolutions, and that was really the more, I don't want to say holiday-esque thing, but that was the theme more of the book. I gave this 4 stars. It was good. It was so dramatic. It was hard to put down, and it was just difficult. It was difficult for everyone in the story. Yeah, it was really good. The next book I read in December was The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I listened to this on audio, and it was such a good choice because it is a Russian-inspired fantasy, which I also discussed in the vlog I'm linking below. I was so glad I listened to it because there's so many Russian places and names and just phrases and things like that, and I really enjoyed hearing them. Versus if I read one of these words like in a book, I probably would have just like looked at it but also skipped over it and not really said it in my head. But like I said, this is a Russian-inspired young adult fantasy, and we follow our main character. Her name is Vasya. We follow her from very early childhood to the end of the book. She's probably about 15 or so, and her small northern Russia village is having a conflict of their traditional spirits and the new, I think it's Catholicism, that is entering her area. A priest comes and he's instilling a lot of religious-based fear to their community, so the people aren't believing or supporting the local spirits, the traditional spirits of their area as much, and it's causing some big issues. Vasya as the main character is so incredible. She is a good horse rider. She's one of the few people who can actually see these spirits. In this book and series, I'm sure it's a 3-book series, one of the topics it really covers is women's roles in these very, I don't want to say medieval, traditional societies. And Vasya is just going against the grain so much. Her family wants her to either get married or become a nun. Those are like the 2 options that are given to her, and neither one of them are sitting well with her. So she finds out how she wants to do her own thing. And there's a lot of family aspects in this too. Vasya's family is very large and they're spread out across Russia. It's really so good. And I gave this 5 stars. It was a great fantasy book, and it was one of my favorite books of last year. This next book I read was also one of my favorite books of 2020. This was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I read this free with Amazon Prime on Kindle, and this is a romance. We follow our main characters, Georgie and Travis. Georgie is I think she's 23, and Travis is 28. But Georgie is a professional party clown. And when Travis, her brother's best friend, has an injury, he has to retire early from Major League Baseball. So he's coming back to their hometown. He's kind of down and out, down on himself. That's not your ball. That's not your ball. So Travis is feeling down and out, and Georgie is trying to bring him back. She's trying to show him that there's still things he can do. He can still have fun with baseball. It doesn't have to be like his professional career. So the Fix Her Up part comes from Georgie's family owns a home construction, like renovation company, and Travis is just kind of helping out with them while he's trying to figure out what to do next. And they end up working on Georgie's house some. But Georgie is the youngest sibling in her family, and she's always just kind of been treated as a little kid, when she actually has really big ideas for her entertainment party business. And this was just so funny. Georgie is hilarious. There was like a joke at one point early in the book that had me rolling, and I just laughed and smiled through this whole book for the 24 hours it took me to read it. It was so good. It was also, looking at this cover, you would not think this book is as steamy as it gets, but it has some explicit content in it, and I'm a fan of that. So this also made one of my favorite books of the year, like I said, but this may be one of the lowest rated books that I read this year. It has a 3.59 on Goodreads, but I gave it 5 stars. So people's holdups on this book is that Travis is a little overprotective. I wouldn't really call him possessive of Georgie, but what I read from reviews is that people thought he was a little overprotective and possessive of her. I don't know if that just didn't bother me, if it worked for me. I just loved this book, and when I finished it, I couldn't give it less than 5 stars. It was just so good. The last book I have to talk about is Ryan Holiday's Daily Stoic. This is a book that I started on January 1st of 2020, and you just have like a passage every day that's a quote from one of the Stoics, mainly Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. And then Ryan Holiday does like a little discussion of that quote. So each month has like a different theme or focus. Like January is clarity, June is problem solving, October is virtue and kindness, December is meditation on mortality, which I especially enjoyed, and it was really good. I mean, I gave this 5 stars. This is one of those things, I mean, it's nonfiction. I don't want to give it less than 5 stars, and it was something that I actually ended up sticking with all through 2020, and I really enjoyed it, and I've already started it again for 2021. It's just a really nice way to start your day. One, not by looking at your phone, looking at something more meaningful and something you can kind of study and rely on and like go back to for mental support and strength. I don't know if I'm selling this to you or not, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm reading it again, and like I said, I stuck with it. I gave it 5 stars, and it was the last book I read. Finished it on December 31st of 2021. So 2020's over. I read 88 books. I think I want to do like a book statistics video, but it's getting kind of late, but I'll just do it anyway because I've already written some of them out. It's January the 4th when I'm filming this, but I had such a good reading year. I started my booktube channel, and I want to thank all of you all for watching these videos. I'm just trying to have a good time here, you know, and talk about books because I don't have a lot of people I can talk about books with very often in my life. So I'm talking about them to you. Okay, I didn't have to get into all that, but thank you for watching. Let me know what your favorite book you read in December was. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one.